recently attended the Prosper show in Las Vegas, and I was a little bit surprised. Usually it's elbow to elbow, super crowded, high energy, but this year it felt different. There were noticeably fewer booths. I mean, just like entire rows gone. The energy was low and kind of subdued. And I also noticed that there were way fewer sellers there this year compared to agencies and other service providers. So it kind of got me thinking, are there really fewer sellers on Amazon right now, or are they just not great at trade shows? Of course, it could have just been me. So when I got back, I did a small poll on LinkedIn, and it seems like other people were also feeling the same thing, that maybe there really are fewer sellers on Amazon in 2025. But again, I wanted to go a little bit deeper. These are just people's opinions, including mine. So is the Amazon gold rush really starting to dry up? In this video, I'm going to share with you the research that I did looking at a few different reports that have recently been released to try to answer this question. And also try to figure out, what does this mean for you if you are trying to get into Amazon in 2025, or if you're an agency and your clients are people who sell things on Amazon. So the first source that I looked at is from a company called Marketplace Pulse. They put out all kinds of reports related to Amazon every single year. Here is a graph year over year of new sellers on Amazon. Now, this data is worldwide. We don't have specific numbers on countries, but it's pretty clear here worldwide there were more sellers new to Amazon in 2024. Now, that is down from the peak, as you can see, in 2022, but overall 2023 and 2024 have been actually pretty decent years for new sellers joining Amazon. Okay, so you might be like, well, okay, there's the answer. It's not slowing down, but I don't think that quite gives us the full picture. So take a look at this other chart from Marketplace Pulse. Now, what this is showing is how many sellers joined in a given year and are still active on Amazon. Now, I think what this is really showing us is not only are there new sellers, but do those sellers stay? Do they actually have a successful business on Amazon, and how is that going? Now, we don't have 2024 data here, obviously, but you can see, again, actually we see an improvement over the years. People who have joined Amazon more recently are actually more likely to stay on the platform. Now, of course, that doesn't really tell us how successful these sellers are. It just says that they're active, and that is anybody who has some sort of feedback or review on Amazon. This doesn't tell us, obviously, if those businesses are profitable or thriving or what. They're just technically still active. All right, so I have one other chart from Marketplace Pulse to kind of round out what is happening in the Amazon space right now for sellers. So here you can see that actually, when it comes to the top sellers on Amazon, these businesses definitely are making money. Over 62% of those top sellers actually started back in pre-2016. Okay, so you can see that these newer sellers that are coming to Amazon are actually not in the top. They're not the best sellers on Amazon. They're not making the most money. Now, of course, this is pretty normal. These sellers who started pre-2016, they do have a leg up, and they've obviously, I'm sure, gone through some of their own learnings and mistakes along the way. So this is pretty normal in any kind of marketplace, but it's definitely interesting. So to kind of summarize that, looking at this data, worldwide anyway, we can see that we actually have more sellers joining Amazon in recent years. Those sellers tend to stick around on the platform and remain active, but they're not the top sellers. But we have fewer of those new sellers becoming top sellers on Amazon. Okay, so now we understand a little bit better what is happening in the marketplace right now, but why? What is the reason behind those trends? So to try to answer that question, I looked at another report. This is called the Voice of the Seller Report, and it's put out by a company called SmartScout. I've linked the full report in the description if you want to take a look at the entire thing. This is looking at primarily US-based sellers, so keep that in mind before we're looking worldwide, and now we're focusing on US in terms of answering that question of why are these trends happening in Amazon. Okay, so first, the competition is up. You can see that sellers said the hardest part about selling on Amazon is the competition. So this makes sense. Those newer sellers to Amazon have a harder time dealing with the increased competition. And that's coming from, of course, international competition, but local competition too. All right. Next up, we have profitability. So you can see that over 50% of sellers are actually reporting less profit in their Amazon business in 2024. Now, I'm reporting this in 2025, and obviously margins are going to continue to get smaller and smaller, especially with the tariffs getting higher and higher. So this is probably only going to get worse. This next one I really like. I think it has some pretty strong indications here. They asked the question, do you think that Amazon is fair? And almost 2/3 of sellers just said no. Amazon is not fair. So I think that the sellers' answers to these questions in this report kind of help us to understand some of the marketplace pulse data a little bit better, especially with fewer new sellers becoming top Amazon sellers. It's simply much harder these days to make Amazon work, both profitability-wise and with competition, and it's just not fair. So what might that mean for someone who's thinking about starting an Amazon business? Well, first of all, it's not going to be easy. Remember from the chart we looked at, actually 70 to 90% of sellers who start out on Amazon will end up failing. So in order to have the best chance of success on Amazon, here's my advice. Make sure that you have a unique product or brand story. This will help you to combat the inevitable inflow of new competitors that can simply copy your product. Next, you have to get your margins right. In order for Amazon to be profitable for you, you need to be very, very careful about your profit margin. Next, I think that you need some sort of external traffic or audience. This will also help with the competition factor and hopefully build a better moat around your product and around your brand so that you're not just relying on the traffic on Amazon alone. Finally, I think you need to be ready to play the long game. You might not be immediately successful on Amazon, and you should be prepared to have some failures. This is normal, but you should be ready. In other words, if you think that you could just treat Amazon like a cash grab or a casual side hustle, you might be disappointed. But if you have something real, if you have a quality product and brand story, then your chance of success will be better. So yeah, the landscape on Amazon for new sellers is definitely shifting, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible for new brands to make it work. If you're in the Amazon game, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Do you think that there are fewer new sellers on Amazon? Is it getting harder for sellers to join Amazon? What are your thoughts? And if you like this video and you want more Amazon related content, you can check out my latest video here. And you can also find out more about what I do for Amazon sellers at ppcfarm.com.